morning. I'd like to call the 4th Osage Nation Congress to order. We are having a 13th special session today. Today is May 12th, 2016. The time is 10 a.m. and we are on day one of this session's agenda. First item on the agenda is prayer. I'll lead us in prayer. Father God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the rain that you send on all of us here. We need it. It makes our plants grow, and we just thank you for that. We thank you for your care and your watch over us, Lord. I just ask you right now to be with those families that are mourning the loss of their loved ones right now. We've had losses, and they just need the special touch and comfort that only you can give. Just be with our elders and our children and the men and women that fight to protect the nation and serve in the military branches, wherever they're stationed in the world. Right now, we just ask that you be with us while we consider business of the nation and moving forward in areas that have been presented to us. Just help us make good decisions, have good discussion, and do the best thing for the people of the Osage Nation. All these things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Roll call.
Congresswoman Bucklehead. Congresswoman Edwards. Congressman Hamilton.
Present.
Congressman Net.
Present.
Congressman Baker.
Here.
Congressman Mason.
Present.
Congressman Norris.
Here.
Congresswoman Pratt. Congressman Sue. Congressman Shaw.
Here.
Congressman Supernaw.
Here.
Congressman Walker.
Here.
Speaker Whitehorn.
Here.
Assistant Chief Redcorn.
Present.
We have a quorum. Next item on the agenda is the executive message by Assistant Principal Chief Raymond Redcorn.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. I want to thank all of you for coming in to a special session to prepare a couple of pieces of business. The session is anticipated to be short, so are my remarks. We're going to cover some and review some documents related to title insurance requirements, related to a limited waiver of sovereign immunity for the purchase of the Bluestem Ranch. We've asked Mr. Jess Kane, David King, who maybe you have met, to speak to Congress and answer any questions this morning that you may have on this waiver of sovereign immunity. The other reason we are here is to consider an ICDBG match appropriation for a Fairfax Wellness Center. My understanding is that this wellness center would be somewhat equal to the one planned for Homing. Here to consider putting some money in the matching grant revolving fund to help fund that match. Again, we appreciate your participation this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Assistant Chief. Next item on the agenda is the legislative message by Speaker Whitehorn. Members of Congress, Assistant Chief, I'm going to try to be as brief as Assistant Chief Redcorn was. You covered why we were originally called into this special session was with the limited waiver of sovereign immunity for title insurance purposes. We're going to possibly, if Congressman Supernaw or any other congressman wants to go into the committee of the whole, we have a representative here that we can speak to about the limited waiver. It was established requested. Also, what I want to talk about is the two matching, well, there's one matching grant fund currently in this special session. Also, you'll see on your agenda, we're going to be asking or taking a vote to amend the proclamation to include another match requirement on the grant. Briefly, what I would like to say about these match requirements on grants is since I've been on Congress, I believe that I have seen an improvement in the nation and a drive, especially with this administration, to go out and seek outside funding sources to help do things that we need to do here in the nation to serve our people. I'm very supportive of these funds coming into the nation. I hope that when that comes up, that you guys will consider that, because our tribal dollars are laying thin for benefits to our people running the government. I think any leverage we can get on federal funding, especially for economic development purposes and to serve the people of our communities, we really need to try to get ourselves and support behind those. I believe that's all I have to say, and we will continue on the session. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a vote to amend the proclamation. Congressman Walker.
Move to amend the 13th special session proclamation to include consideration of ONCA 1672, an act authorizing appropriate up to $450,000 to meet the 15% match requirement of the Community Connect grant from the Economic Development Fund and the Treasury, and to establish an alternate effective date.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion to the motion? All in favor of the motion say yes.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Congressman Walker.
I move to suspend the rules and add ONCA 1672 to first reading on today's agenda. Second.
The motion and a second. It's a rule suspension, so there's no discussion. All in favor of the motion say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries. Okay, we've taken care of agenda item number 5. We are now on agenda item number 6, which is bills and resolutions on first reading. Congressman Shaw.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, members of Congress. Appreciate the opportunity to read in ONCA 1671, an act to authorize and appropriate $250,000 to the matching grant fund to meet the match requirements of the Indian Community Development Block Grant for the construction of the Fairfax Wellness Center and to establish an alternate effective date.
Thank you, Congressman Shaw. Without objection, ONCA 1671 will be placed on general order day 2, when amendments will be proposed on today's agenda. Next is ONCA 1672. Bill number ONCA 1672, an act to authorize and appropriate up to $450,000 to meet the 15% match requirement of the Community Connect grant from the Economic Development Fund in the Treasury, and to establish an alternate effective date. I would also like to say that at 11 o'clock there is going to be a Commerce and Economic Development meeting, and all people involved in this are here to give a presentation about this grant. So without objection, ONCA 1672 will be placed on general order day 2 on today's agenda. The next one is Congressman Zuberon.
I'll read it as ONCR 1630, a resolution to authorize payment of funds to close purchase of real property, acceptance of deed, and execution of related documents. To authorize a limited waiver of sovereign immunity from suit and consent to the jurisdiction as to suits arising out of a policy of title insurance by First American Title Insurance Company in favor of the Osage Nation as to real property, and authorization of principal chief to sign endorsement to title insurance law.
Thank you, Congressman Supernaw. Without objection, ONCR 1630 will be placed on General Order Day 2 on today's agenda. Okay, we are now at a point that we're on General Order Day 2 when amendments can be proposed, or Congressman Supernaw, I believe that you mentioned that we might go into a committee of the whole for some purposes that you wanted to, are you still wanting to?
Is that attorney here?
Yes, sir, he is here.
Yeah, I'm not going to motion that we go into a committee of the whole to discuss ONCR 1630.
Okay. The motion and a second. Any discussions of the motion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Are there any opposed? Seeing none, we are now in the committee of the whole for the purpose of discussing ONCR 1630. Congressman Supernaw, who
Well, this,
okay.
well,
I was just, he was showing me the name of the attorney, and so.
oh, okay. But since this includes the waiver of sovereign, and we've always been cautious about doing that, I thought we ought to discuss a little bit anyway, because since it's not going to committee, and see if there's any questions that we might have. I don't know, could we call the attorney up as an expert witness or expert testimony and asking questions?
Yes, sir. Could we have attorney Mr. Jess Kane with us today? Thank you, sir, for being here.
Yes, ma'am.
You have some opening statements you'd like to talk about on this piece of legislation, and then we might have questions from the body for you.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Speaker, members of Congress, I'm honored to be here. My name is Jess Kane. I'm a partner with Robin and King Law Firm. We have offices in Bartlesville and Pawhuska. And David King, my partner, has been representing you in the acquisition of Bluestem Ranch. Mr. King couldn't be here today. His wife is having some fairly serious health issues. And he asked me to step in and answer any questions I can. But I'm not unfamiliar with this. I'm honored to have been asked to be the attorney for Bluestem Ranch LLC, who, this deal is closed, I guess will be operating the ranch for you. And I'm very much looking forward to that. But I've been helping Mr. King with this all along, and I guess I'm as familiar with what's going on as anybody. I certainly appreciate you approaching any waiver of your sovereign immunity with extreme caution. That is absolutely understandable. In this case, this is a very limited waiver of sovereign immunity. And as you're well aware, only the Congress of the Osage Nation is able to even provide a limited waiver of sovereign immunity under the Osage Nation Constitution. This limited waiver was drafted by Dean Luton, your attorney in Tulsa, with our input, and we believe it is narrowly tailored, extremely limited, only to what is necessary to close this transaction. And if you guys have that in front of you, you can see that the waiver applies to a waiver of sovereign immunity with respect to suits or other legal proceedings arising only from the title policies that are necessary to close this transaction. It also provides for a waiver of the defense of failure to exhaust remedies in tribal courts. Again, also only as to these title policies. Finally, the nation would be consenting to the jurisdiction of the federal courts and to the state courts in the state of Oklahoma, also only for these title policies. So that's what's going on here. The title company is requiring these as inducement in order for it to issue the policies.
Congressman Zupan.
Can you answer questions about the insurance policy itself, title insurance?
I can answer them. I don't know if the answers will be correct.
Well, we got a letter recently from the Department of Interior regarding land and trust in Tulsa, and it may have answered these questions, but I'd like to ask them so we can get it on record here, if you can answer them. That title insurance policy, as I recall, has got a pretty hefty premium, and I'm wondering if that policy, if we take this land in trust, is there any rebate on the premium? If we get in trust pretty quick, it may not be enforced very long, and I don't know really what happens when the land is taken into trust. Is there any liability from then on for the title company?
I imagine, and I don't want to speak too far out of turn, that the title company's liability to you as a nation is going to continue regardless of the trust status of the land. They're guaranteeing your good title to the property against any encroachments that might have occurred. Whether they would give back any of that premium at a later date if they felt like their risk was lessened because it had gone into trust status, I don't know. I'm not the guy to ask. We need to get somebody from the title company to be able to answer that question. But it is a hefty premium to go around, sure.
Assistant Chief has a comment about this particular question.
To your question, Congressman Zupan, I'd be happy to be corrected if I'm somehow in error here. If we intend to, we do intend to take all that land into trust. I believe that the title insurance policy helps us get there, because my understanding is the U.S. government's going to scrub this really hard and make double sure that there are absolutely no problems, and if there are any problems in carrying it, they're on the hook for the cost of it. That's what title insurance is. They're on the hook for making it right so that we can put it in trust. Is that a fair statement?
I absolutely think that is a fair statement. There's a lot, it's a big piece of property, and it's been in private hands for many, many years. So there's all kinds of title problems that could have arisen in that time. This policy would protect the nation, give you some confidence that those title problems, if they haven't been identified, that they will be taken care of.
Congressman Zupan.
Well, that was a good answer to another question, but that's not the question I asked. What I was curious about is, when this policy was written, I didn't know whether the title company anticipated it would be taken into trust. And I'm curious as to what happens once it's taken into trust. There is no need for title insurance. Would there be rebate, or is it considered, the premium considered fully earned once it's put into effect? I mean, I'm asking you questions, I guess, outside your area.
I do not know the answer to that, Congressman. How the title company comes up with its fee schedule is outside of my area.
I think our attorney may have some questions. Right.
Mr. Gill, do you have some questions? I know that Congressman Zupan engaged you to.
Sure. I just had a couple of questions. Again, my name is Trey Gill, Legislative Counsel for the Osage Congress. One of the questions that has come up was, in the resolution, it says that it's irrepealable until the closing date of the purchase of the ranch. And it's my understanding that that's because once the policy issues, that waiver is in place throughout the life of the policy. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
And then, is this policy limited to the Bluestem Ranch itself with no other properties contained in this policy?
As I understand it, there's actually 10 policies.
Okay.
And that is, the reason for that is because when you have paid for extensions of existing policies. And it's my understanding that those 10 policies only cover what you guys are purchasing.
And is there anything unusual that you have seen in these title insurance policies?
Nothing at all. I mean, this is my first go around with representing a client with sovereign immunity, so that's somewhat new for me. But other than that, other than this waiver, this is a pretty standard title insurance policy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Gill. Do any other members have questions for Mr. Kane? Or any more discussion to ONCR 1630? Congressman Mason.
Yes, I have a question, sort of maybe addressing you and Mr. Supernall too as the sponsor. And I'm looking at line 37, page 1, item C. It says, consent by the Osage Nation to the jurisdiction of Oklahoma state and federal courts over such suits. And I'm just thinking in terms when we start talking about state courts, and I know this wording has been in there before, but are we opening up a door that the state's courts can make decisions upon and over us?
You would be in this case, Congress. If there was some kind of a dispute in which the title company decided to sue the nation, you would have consented to the jurisdiction of a state court in Oklahoma. But for the limited purpose of this title policy, we're not opening the door for anything else.
Congressman Supernall.
It might be helpful for the Congress if you could kind of give us a brief description of the indemnity provided by this title insurance. What do we actually bind with that?
Oh, well, that's a big question, Congressman. The idea with title insurance is to protect you from unforeseen title defects. And the title on this ranch has been examined from the date of the original title policies to current. So reasonably satisfied that nothing has occurred in the past few years to cloud the title to this ranch. That said, not every cloud on title shows up in the chain of title at the county courthouse. The indemnity provides for certain title defects that might not have been apparent in the chain of title. If someone were to contend that for whatever reason that they own a fence lines in the wrong place or something like that, the title insurance company would be obligated to defend your title to the ranch and indemnify you for legal costs and for any judgments that might be rendered against you.
Congressman Supernall.
Thank you for that. I know it doesn't pertain exactly to this waiver, but I thought it might be helpful if I can understand that. I don't have any questions.
Congressman Walker.
Mr. Kane, you mentioned early on in your remarks about failure to exhaust remedies in the course of the Osage Nation. How would you foresee that going? Would you potentially see a scenario where we try it in our courts, and if they get an unfavorable ruling, then they would just take it to the state courts?
Certainly, if the nation were to be aggrieved and to file a lawsuit for breach of one of these 10 title policies, I don't think you are foreclosed from filing that case initially in the tribal court. And for that matter, the tribal company wouldn't be foreclosed from filing that in the tribal court. All a waiver of the doctrine of exhaustion of the tribal court remedy does is provides the title insurance company with some comfort that they can go ahead and file either in the Oklahoma State courts or in the federal court and not be subject to dismissal for dismissal of their case for failure to exhaust remedies in the tribal court. I think it would be more likely that if the nation were aggrieved, that they would file the initial case in tribal court. Probably not likely that the title company, if they sued under one of these, for breach of one of these policies, that they would start off in tribal court.
Any more discussion or questions? Thank you, Mr. Kane, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor to be here.
Okay, and I'd also like to recognize while we're in community hall that our Osage Nation Attorney General, Ms. Wells, is here. I know she likes to be informed of what's going on, especially with waivers. So if she had any concerns, you didn't ask to be recognized, but if you have any concerns, I'd like to hear from you while we're in community of the whole.
Thank you, Speaker.
Please.
And all I would add, thank you all. All I would add to that would be that everyone here understand that the title companies would be the ones to choose the forum if they were to bring suit. We are doing a limited waiver, which means they could go state court or they could go federal court. They would be the ones to choose the forum where the suit took place. And from what I understand of what I've read, that is our limited waiver. You all know how I feel, even about very limited waivers. But I don't see any way around this other than to agree to this very limited waiver. And basically what that does is gives the title companies the choice of venue if there were to be suits in this case. So they could go federal, which would be to our benefit, but most likely it would be state court. So I just want everybody to understand that before we continue on.
Thank you, Attorney General. We
Thank you,
appreciate that.
Speaker.
Any questions? Congressman Sewell?
I was going to say, if no one has, if we're ready, I'll make the motion to come out of the executive session. Committed all.
Sure. Have a motion coming out of committee of the whole, is there a second? Congressman Buffalo has seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay, we are now out of committee of the whole, and we are on general order day 2, and amendments can be proposed on today's agenda. Would anybody like a brief recess to consider amendments for any of these bills that are sitting there? Seeing none. First bill on general order day 2 is ONCA 1671, an act to authorize and appropriate $250,000 to the matching grant fund to meet the match requirement of the Indian Community Development Block Grant for the construction of the Fairfax Wellness Center and to establish an alternate effective date. Congressman, are there any amendments to be proposed to this bill? Seeing none, we're going to move on to ONCA 1672, an act to authorize and appropriate up to $450,000 to meet the 15% match requirement of the Community Connect grant from the Economic Development Fund in the Treasury and to establish an alternate effective date. Are there any amendments to be proposed to this bill? Seeing none, we're going to move on to ONCR 1630. A resolution to authorize payment of funds to close purchase of real property, acceptance of deed, and execution of related documents to authorize a limited waiver of sovereign immunity from suit and consent to jurisdiction as to suits arising out of policy title insurance by First American Title Insurance Company in favor of the Osage Nation as to real property and authorization of principal chief to sign endorsement to the title insurance policy. Are there any amendments to be proposed to that resolution? Congressman Shaw.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to advance ONCA 1671. Let me rephrase, please. I'd like to suspend the rules, modify the agenda, and move that ONCA 1671 be advanced to third reading on today's agenda following Grossman.
Second. A motion and a second, all in favor say yes.
Yes.
Okay. Congressman Walker.
Make a motion to suspend rules, modify the agenda, and advance ONCA 1672 and ONCR 1630 to third reading on today's agenda after engrossment.
Second. The motion and a second, on both of those. All in favor say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Congresswoman Pratt, we are now at the point that we need to engross legislation.
Right, I was just thinking that, we still have a committee.
There's a committee meeting at 11 o'clock for some
So I was like
information.
gonna say, we could just go start, but not, we're not trying to come back in before that committee, right? We're coming back after, so I think that we'll just go handle it and throughout the day and all come back together.
So you're ready to go start engrossment right now and get as far as you can and then take a recess for the 11 o'clock meeting, is that what you're saying?
No, I was saying, if yes, I'm sorry, recess, and then we'll go on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, I was missing the word recess right there. Yes, and we'll go get started and then just all come back again after the meeting.
Congressman Walker.
So Speaker, how do you see this day playing out? As far as time, we've got 1 o'clock congressional affairs meeting, and we after that, you see us closing this thing out during the lunch hour.
I would think that that's a possibility. I think it's a possibility to finish session before 1 o'clock today. That's just me thinking that way. So I would make a suggestion, we would recess to the call of the chair and all 6 o'clock. Okay. Motion and second to recess to the call of the chair. Any discussion? All in favor say yes.
Yes.
We are in recess. That's a struggle.
I know, I was like,
No, I think we can finish.